You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. Over the past 5 months, the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra has presented a variety of matinee recitals with WSO at home. The Every Second Friday concert series comes to a close today in a blaze of brassy goodness. The WSO Brass Quintet takes the digital stage at 12:30, and to tell us more about the show, we've reached Keith Dyrda. Hey, Keith, glad to have you here on Classic 107.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I want to begin by asking you about the past few months. How you been keeping?
Pretty well, thanks. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been obviously a pretty crazy time. But trying to keep busy. I've got I don't know if you can see in my home studio here. I've got all my instruments kind of set out and sitting out, so they're constantly beckoning, to be played. So I spend a lot of time in here, just keeping myself busy and practicing and getting ready for the start of our season again, which is in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, it's I'm sure coming up quickly and a lot of time in the practice room. So how does it feel to have the gang back together, or at least a part of the gang with the WSO at home concert series performance that's happening today? How does it feel to be making music with some friends again?
It's the best. I mean, I've really noticed how important it is, obviously to the audience, but to me as well, just to be able to make music with other people. So it's not just always me here in the room, but getting into a space with some other people and hearing some other sounds. And we just had a great time putting the concert together and playing some brass quintet music, which is not something that we get to do every week. So it's a little bit something different for us, out of the ordinary, I suppose. But yeah, it was a real blast.
Well, speaking of brass quintets, you're no stranger to brass ensembles. You got your professional start as a brass quintet player, taking over for Gene Watson, Canadian Brass. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And you were nominated for a Juno for your contribution to the album Brahms on Brass. You played with All Star Brass. You've done a lot of brass ensemble playing. So for those of us like me who've never played in a brass ensemble, what's so special about them? What do you enjoy about it most?
Yeah. It's the brass quintet for brass players it's sort of like the string quartet for string players. It's our sort of go-to medium for small ensemble brass playing, and just the way that the instruments complement each other, with two trumpets, horn, trombone, often with tuba. In our case, we have bass trombone, but that's a common substitute, to have bass trombone instead. But yeah, just besides just the way the instruments blend together so well, there's just a real wealth of repertoire written for brass quintet. As I said, it's kind of the go-to instrumentation for a small ensemble brass group. So there's just so much music you can play, and it's still lots of music being written for the brass quintet, and in all different styles. As you'll see on this program, we have lots of different styles of music that we get to showcase. So it's we all get to just sort of take on a little bit more responsibility as well. You're a 1/5 member of the group instead of what would be 1 in 60 something for the symphony orchestra. And especially as a trombone player, in the orchestra, I love playing trombone in the orchestra, but it's not always, I'll say you're not always playing all the time, like the violins are. So, or some of the woodwinds perhaps. So it's great to sort of take on a little bit more responsibility for the final product. And yeah.
More responsibility, but I don't know why, but I always think of brass ensembles as life of the party type people. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think maybe it's just we're a little bit farther from the podium, so we get away with a little bit more in rehearsal, maybe. But yeah, the trombone players are sort of the stereotypical party animals. I'm not sure I quite fit that description, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, just like the energy and the sound that you guys bring to things, it just puts you as center of attention. So you spoke of the diversity of the repertoire. What do you guys have planned for today's performance?
Yeah, well, we have, as I said, lots of different music. We start the program with one of my all-time favorites. It's the fanfare from La Paris, from Ducat. And yeah, it's just immediately you're captured by really interesting harmonies, but as you say, sort of that brass sound right up in the front. And so hopefully we'll grab your attention with that. But we're also playing the music of Percy Grainger from, we have a selection from Lincolnshire Posey, again, with some really interesting harmony going on and a very different style, sort of showcasing the more of the sort of rural English countryside type of motifs. We have a piece written by Michael Kamen, quintet by Michael Kamen, which was actually originally written for Canadian brass, as we mentioned before. It's a beautiful piece that showcases our one of our horn players, Aidan Clear from the Symphony Orchestra. We've got some music by Bach on the program, originally written for organ. Often with brass quintet, you'll have original music written for brass quintet, but you'll also have arrangements taken from, different pieces written for different instruments that have been arranged for brass quintet. And that really opens the doors to what you can have. So we've got some of that. We've got some music of Giovanni Gabrielli, which is actually maybe my favorite music to play as a brass player. And this particular piece that we're playing showcases the antiphonal style of brass playing, which was really developed in the St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice, where Gabrielli wrote his music. And they had these famous lofts in the cathedral where the call and response brass sections could sort of take place.
All sorts of physical distancing there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So that's some of my favorite music to play, and it's just so glorious. It's like, that's really sort of the cream of the crop, in my opinion. But yes, we have lots of stuff to play.
You sure do, and just exploring the centuries and the sonorities as well. Keith, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us at Classic today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us. I hope you enjoy the concert.
Oh, absolutely. Keith Dyrda, trombonist with the WSO Brass Quintet. Keith, along with Paul Jeffrey and Isaac Pulford on the trumpets, Aidan Clear on the horn, and Tomasz Markovic on the bass trombone. They performed today, Friday, in the last WSO at-home lunchtime recital series online through YouTube and Facebook. We, of course, have all the links up at classic107.com.